affecting us with the view towards making an impact for change. So we are very happy to be here with you for another episode of Roots Connections on Q. We continue to be grateful for everything that makes us uniquely Dominican. We continue to pray for our country. We had to say a special prayer this evening because two of our guests this evening had no electricity right before coming on the program. So, we have to get a handle on this whole Dominic situation. As always, we continue to stand in solidarity with those who are fighting countless battles in Dominica, those who remain on the front line to secure our freedom and our democracy. I was just listening to the DPSU program, great program on the need to stand up for women. So we continue to stand for women in the fight for equality. But just as important, we stand in solidarity with those who know that in order to finalize, to receive all the changes we are seeking in Dominica, Dominicans must be financially independent so that they can be free to make other important decisions, including electing their government. So again, welcome to Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95. This is episode number 59 for today, November 22nd, 2023. And I am your host, Simone Matthew. Of course, if you live out here in North America, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So let me be the first to wish you a very special happy Thanksgiving as you celebrate with your family and friends. Also, please keep in mind that there are many people who are not as fortunate as you to have company on Thanksgiving and Christmas. So let us say a special prayer for those who are lonely during this time, that they may find comfort in the company of somebody who remembers that they live alone. So we have another packed program for you today. Our topic this evening, we're going to look at now that the 2023 season, the Creole season, is over in Dominica. How can we continue the momentum of the financial uptick we saw in Dominica's economy? So again, the Creole season is now over, but how can we continue that financial uptick? Do we have to wait until Carnival 2024 for another injection of a financial stimulus for those who depend on the festival season to continue to earn a living? So we're very happy. We are joined by a powerhouse, three guests, people who need absolutely no introduction because they are so passionate about Dominica on a daily basis, whether it is through their professional careers as well as their community activism. So we're very happy this evening to be joined by Mr. Adrian Banis, entrepreneur and proprietor of Banis Farm. We have Mrs. Marian John Finn, real estate agent and community advocate. And we also have Mr. Carlos Charles, owner of C Media, as well as leader of Team Unity Dominica. So let's give them an opportunity to unmute their mics and greet us with their introduction for the program. So Marian, we'll start with you.
Well, let me say firstly, I am not a Mrs.
Sorry, my apologies. I was wondering in my brain while I was saying it.
I was making sure that I am available still.
So okay.
Fine.
My apologies.
Yeah. So thank you for having me on this program, and I look forward to having this chat. I'm a real estate lady, and I'm really fortunate to have that title in Dominica. It was a challenge moving from St. Martin, coming back to Dominica after 23 years. But I determined to be here and leave my footprint or leave my stamp as I go along my journey in this life in Dominica. And it is, as I said, it's really much a challenge. I also am the host of Real Estate Talk, and I saw the need for a program like this because what I realize is that when we understand, what we are doing, why we are doing it, how it impacts our lives, we will begin to do things more purposefully so that the results can be better.
Yes, thank you for that. Mr. Banis, let's go over to you. Are you muted? I think you might be muted, Mr. Banis. You're muted. Okay. Carlos, let's come to you for a minute until Mr. Banis is unmuted.
All right, good evening, Simon. How are you?
We're
Good
doing well.
evening to Q95 listeners, and both in Dominica and abroad. Thank you for having me here. I look forward to having a nice engagement with you guys. Also, good evening to Miss John Finn and Mr. Manis as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if he's able to unmute. Mr. Banis, can you unmute? Maybe not yet. So let's continue, and he will join us in just a minute. He was fine right before we started the program, so I'm not sure. He seems to be having some technical. Yes, there we go.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on the program tonight. As my name is Adrian Banis, and I'm a pastor. I am also an entrepreneur, and I am a farmer. And I work with a lot of farmers groups. I work with also community groups. And tonight, I believe that we can share our experiences, and it's really a pleasure to be part of this program tonight.
Yes, thank you for that. And as we talk about gratitude, we always have to continue to be grateful for our Dominican groups and organizations around the world. With over 100,000 Dominicans outside of Dominica, I see our associations and groups as the engine we need to harness the human and other resources to make those meaningful changes we need in Dominica. We have to continue to support our groups, and we have opportunities coming up during December to do just so. So if you're in the Florida area and you're looking for an opportunity to enjoy some great music, some great cuisine, and also provide the funding for scholarships for Dominican students, I just want to share this particular initiative with you. So take a listen. Hold on. My earbud is on, so I have to remove it. So we will continue, and I will do so in a little while during the program. But let's continue ahead. Of course, we are grateful for Mr. G and the Q95 family for having us on the program every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. Our audience, our Q95 radio audience, if you're joining us on Facebook on Q95 FM radio, as well as YouTube on Q95 radio and Push Past 10, which I'm about to share in just a little bit, we are certainly very happy to have you on board for this conversation. Don't forget to share the live, let everyone know that we're here. Click the notification button and let everyone know that we are part of the conversation. Lambi, Sherwin, DJ Shan, we are certainly are appreciative of the work that you do. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about now that the 2023 Creole season is over in Dominica, how can we continue the momentum of the financial uptick in Dominica's economy we witnessed during the Creole season? So we will continue to explore new and emerging income earning opportunities for Dominicans at home and abroad as we continue to look for the path to financial security in Dominica. So to our panel, as we kick off the conversation, what I want us to do this evening, because I was in Dominica as well, let us just share some of our observations from Creole season 2023. What were some areas that we saw where people took advantage of the fact that we had so many, maybe thousands of visitors in Dominica to increase their income stream? So let's just share what we saw on the ground. Marian, let's begin with you. You're muted.
What can we do to increase our income?
Well, what did we see first? Let's start with our observations. What did we see people doing? Were there more vendors? Were there more, bars set up? So what did we see during
Well,
the Creole season?
well, everyone at that time is doing the best or trying to capitalize on the amount of persons that will visiting the island. Everybody wants to have a piece of Dominica, whether it's a byproduct of Dominica or to visit certain touristic sites. So everyone was trying their best to take advantage of what of being here. And you saw things like the TV Lash Creole. You see little um, events that was hosted by the government through its different agencies. Um, People took advantage of that, but I felt that people wanted a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I felt, yes, we go to the Creole festival, um, we go to the different sites, but then I'm thinking one area that we are really lacking is good restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
especially lunch,
Mm-hmm.
someone or breakfast. We lack that very, very much in Dominica, and it's across the board. I mean, there are restaurants, there are which serves breakfast, lunch, dinner, but I'm talking about a place where you can have a seat and say, hey, let's go and have breakfast, let's go have lunch. That's one of the areas I feel we have not capitalized on and have that service for our people.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
mhm.
Yes, Mr. Bani, some of your observations during the Creole season. What did you see?
Well, I saw lots of people coming down from the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
So the rentals, they were happy because they were all cars and all the vehicles were rented out. We saw also people coming and meet with their family and enjoy that family interaction, and they would shop in the local shops. We also saw people coming and being a part of the World Creole Festival and enjoying the free nights. And so you had lots of vendors all over the place in Roseau, also in the country, on the countryside, because sometimes some people want to stay out in the countryside for a night, and then that would help to stimulate some form of activity and some form of spending. And
Mm-hmm.
also people, entrepreneurs were happy because, as Marian said, the activity was really swinging. So people had the opportunity to go there and showcase their products and sell. So the world could know, or people could experience what Dominica is producing. And we saw the restaurants, the bars, and everybody, everybody got a little piece out of what was out of that free nights. And even after the free nights, some people stayed back and just enjoy the nature island and spend some money before they go back home. So all in all, I find it was really rewarding for them and also rewarding for those who involve the entrepreneurs. I think also most of the entrepreneurs were involved where they went and they sold their products, and some people got the opportunity to advertise their products. So it was something that people enjoyed for the Creole, World Creole Festival.
Yes, very good. Carlos?
Yes, just to add to what the previous speaker said, a lot of the business places enjoyed some new activity
Mm-hmm.
that they would not have normally had on a regular basis. We saw a lot more social activities being taking place. For example, not just the TV Lodge, but you saw that the two bigger promoters in Dominica put together a very exciting activity, and of course, other smaller promoters had other activities as well. I agree with the restaurants being we needing more in the country so we can have more to offer to our guests and visitors when they come. Um, but I also take note of the existing ones who were there and experienced the uptick, and those who had to take advantage of in the spirit of my observations, those who took advantage of the influx of visitors and got a chance to increase prices
Mm.
for certain activities, so they could generate even more revenue. We also saw that the increase of the Airbnbs, persons who took advantage of using that for places to stay, especially for those who don't normally live in Dominica, who went abroad for a while, and those who newly visiting Dominica. Like, for example, the bikers from St. Lucia came in, as they normally do. I think about 13 of them came in, or a little more, and they would have gotten their Airbnbs online. So kudos to Dominicans for expanding in that sector.
Yeah, and if I might share my own observations as well, because I really think we saw a financial uptick during the Creole season. And if you're just joining us, we're just asking the question, how do we keep that momentum going so that those who benefited from the Creole season do not have to wait for the next festival in Dominica, which is not until Carnival in February, before they can see a similar profit. And what I saw is the ripple effect that we talked about during COVID-19. I've been hosting this program since about 2021. And during that time, we talked about the negative effect in terms of everyone who was not earning because these festivals were no longer happening. So we looked at the dressmakers, we looked at, the food vendors, we looked at the hairdressers, we looked at everyone that had that ripple effect impact them. So now what we're seeing is the reverse of what we saw in COVID in terms of everyone being able to benefit. So when we think of the financial benefit that we saw in Dominica during the Creole season, we're not just thinking about the festivals. Yes, Carlos, I know we had some big promoters as well who did very well for themselves, but we're also talking about just the ordinary citizen on the ground, the folks who had the brilliant idea to do short-term rentals, Airbnbs, the hairdressers, the clothing makers. We had just about everyone making a profit. As a matter of fact, I even heard an ad, and I thought that was an ingenious ad that the Convent High School put out to say that you could park your car at Convent High School for a fee. So I'm thinking, wow, this is an innovative way. So I think a lot of people took advantage of the opportunity to increase their income stream during Creole Festival. And I can attest to the fact that a lot of profits were earned because I'm a part of the Dominica Civical Alumni Association, and we host the White Sunset events the Wednesday before Creole Festival. And when we looked at our profits this year are 3 times the profit we made last year on the exact same event. So 3 times the profit. So in my mind, that just speaks to the economic uptick that we saw in Dominica. So I really truly hope that the average person was able to make a financial boost, get a little financial stimulus to their pockets during the Creole festival season. So again, that ripple effect that we talked about. But what I want us to talk about is how do we continue this process? So I know, Marian, for example, one of the areas, short-term rentals, Airbnb, whatever we want to call it, it was a big hit, I believe, for those who took advantage of that. But tell us the pros and cons. What did you see that was good about the short-term rentals? And just explain to us, what is a short-term rental? Because we know quite a few Dominicans who live overseas. We have property and homes in Dominica, but for fear of people, I have to say it, for fear of people destroying your property, you may not want to do a full-term rental where you have a yearly rental. But this is a way that many people who have homes in Dominica can earn money on those homes while living overseas. So tell us a little bit more about short-term rentals, Marian.
As you short-term rental is for a period 1 night to 3 months. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
most times it is done through, you are charged nightly for your stay. The long term is 6 months to a year, and between 3 months to 6 months, you can always play with it to see, what is the best. I mean, sometimes one of the reality in Dominica is that we have spikes, and our spike is during Independence Creole Festival and a carnival. And sadly, as someone who invests in a property and it costs you thousands of dollars to maintain, it is difficult to have to wait only at
Mm-hmm.
this two period of time, of season to make some money. And so you ask, how can we opt it? So one of the ways is, we have to really look at this on a holistic point of view. We have to look at what is it that we are offering to our people. And so that when someone has a rental or an Airbnb or vacation rental, it is not just a seasonal at a time. This year, I can tell you that every place from what I have experienced, most places do very well on the rental this year. So people did make some good money during that time. But how can we have it consistently? Because a short-term rental, the disadvantage is you have to always keep it going, keep it fresh, keep it up, modernized. Because persons want to feel when they come in is like a hotel away from a hotel. And so the product has to be fresh. So the homeowner must be always investing and cleaning and renovating and maintaining that property to give it a fresh look so that the clients, when they come, they feel at home. And with the short-term rental, it's more detailed. It's more detailed. You have to be on your P's and Q's, make sure that the person, when they come, that everything is there set up for them. So you being away and having your property on short-term rental, you have to have someone or a team to be there and to receive your guests, to maintain the property for you, to make sure that when they come in, the property is up to par and is ready to receive your guests.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the short term rental is 12 months, 6 months. So the person comes whether it's the property is rented, furnished or unfurnished. That's between you and the tenant, and it's up to them to prepare their space. So you rent the space, you have the agreement, you have your lease agreement, and the condition whether you're paying the rent, paying the electricity, water, and internet are the three amenities or the utilities. Sorry, the utilities that comes with a rental, and in most cases, the owners do include the internet and the water in the rent. But with electricity, especially once there is a air conditioned unit, it will not be wise as a owner to include electricity in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so for most owners right now, I mean, with the pay as you go is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant um, option for owners to offer, for Domlec to offer
Dominic.
that service to property owners. Property owners in Dominica, it's a challenge, as I said, to keep the property, to always receive guests because, as I say, our turnover, real estate is the movement of people, and there got to be turnover. People moving constantly to get that property rented and be always on, occupied, because that's how you make your money. So when the property is in September, August, March, January, the place is not rented. It's a little bit discouraging, and so the owner is looking at how can I best take advantage of when there's a season like Creole Festival, you know, and then looking at the cost of renovating, of preparing that property. That is a high cost because, at the warehouse, at the hardware places, the material is very expensive. And so it's a challenge, in our Dominica to go into Airbnb or really
Short term.
short-term rental, and to maintain it when there is not a constant flow of guests coming into your property.
Yeah,
So that's why you find that our rental fees are much higher than that of St. Lucia, example. And we have to look at what someone is going to St. Lucia. What are they getting for the fee that is much less, and the modern amenities and the furnishings and quality compared to what they receive in Dominica, which is at higher rate. And sometimes the furnishing is not up to par, not elegant, is not, fresh, modern. Example, if you go to, I was doing some research, Rodney Bay in St. Lucia, that is the Rodney's Bay is a touristic place, with lots of the yachting community. And you're not a poor man don't have yachts. It's rich people who have yachts. And I look at the rates that is being offered. I took the figures because now it is slow, so now they have a reduction. Um, the Before the reduction or the reduced price, a three-bedroom in St. Lucia with a pool, ocean view, modern amenities, modern furnishing. You have all these restaurants and all these vibes and the lifestyle in St. Lucia. It's $200 a night in Dominican apartment, and that's for three bedrooms. That's a bedroom. It sleeps three bedroom, and then you have in Dominica is 260 a night per room. You understand? That is a big thing, because people are going to look at, yes, you come to the Creole Festival, your money in your pocket, but how much am I going to pay for lodging, accommodation, and how is it going to affect our future, you know, Creole Festival and the ripple effect it has on our economy? So we need to look at what can we do as a nation to offer better service, to create a space or the opportunity where persons can really upgrade or maintain, refurnish their furniture at a reasonable cost. And also for how do we get people coming to Dominica consistently? That will help with the reduction, because if you have every night or at least 3 weeks in a month for the rest of the year, your property is constantly booked, you will reduce the fees. You understand? It's because there is not much happening, so you are trying to maximize the fees during the Creole Festival. How can that affect the persons wanting to come? And they may come this time. I had some client last year, they didn't come. When I gave them the fees, they saying, but that's a lot in St. Lucia. I can get a better deal. I get a new, I'm sorry, modern apartment, a house for that fee with a pool. You understand? So yes, we boast that we have a Creole festival, yes, but people are not stupid all the time. and we have to look at how do we keep them coming, because the ripple effect is greater than just the rental fees for a night.
Yeah, and we have to continue talking about how do we make this a full-fledged industry. So, Carlos, I want you to start thinking about in terms of what we call super hosting. There's a new term floating around Dominica, super hosting, and what that includes. But, Mr. Banis, let me come to you because I think Marianne raises a very important question. And I know that you're a man who is well traveled. You've been up and down the Caribbean, consistently. So, how do we keep bringing people to Dominica on a consistent basis? Because what I saw when I attended Creole Festival this year is I heard a lot of French accents, and I was so happy to see all these people coming from the French islands. I saw the St. Lucia flag flying high. I saw a huge Trinidadian flag flying high. So even within the space of our own region, right? How do we keep, to Marian's point, how do we keep people coming to Dominica on a consistent basis when, we don't even really have a nightlife per se that we can talk about? So what are they coming for if there is not a festival?
One of the things that I would like to say, Wise Marion was talking now. I was just meditating and thinking. And one of the things that I was really thinking of is we need to have more community intervention where we talk about community tourism. But in order for us to have community tourism alive and kicking, we must ensure that we put in the infrastructure. So we can have things like sports tourism. We can have things like people come in and they have somewhere that they can go and enjoy themselves in the river. You can also have farm tours. People can come on the farm and have a tour and enjoy what you are growing on the farm. For instance, today I had two guests coming in, and they were just excited about what they saw and just enjoying what we have, going to the riverside and just enjoying the river. And also, we have to look at if we are going to attract people, we must create a space for night activity. And one of the things that I recognize, we are not promoting our Creole, like our Jingping or our quadrille. I think we should not only wait for independence time. Between independence and carnival, we should continue to have this activity. Also, we have Christmas coming. And I remember growing as a young boy, I was also involved in playing music. We would go from house to house and we would sing we would have this what do you call it?
Serenal.
Seminal. And people would enjoy that. They would have their drinks and people would welcome you. And that also brought some level of activity. So what I'm saying is we have to begin to look at how we can become more creative, and we should also see how the people in the diaspora can assist in creating that link, so you can organize the people out there and say, hey, I have that activity in Dominica, and I would like, and would organize them, and then they would come and they would enjoy that life. So you have that kind of link. But if you have to go through, in order for you to organize tours, you find that you have to go. Maybe you have to find some people, and they may not be people that you know. So it takes a lot of money to go and invest in promotion and stuff like that. I think we should try to make that a little bit easier. We have lots of people living in different countries, and this is a good business. If you can invest, you can get that business going by getting people to come to Dominica, and you have people in Dominica that will receive them and give them a tour. Let them tour the island. For instance, I am planning on having something that you call Kingdom Tourism, where I'm having a major conference every year. And then I bring people from all over, right? Christians, non-Christians, all kind of people. They come, and we have 3 nights or 4 nights of of services, and then they have one day you give them a tour. So that in itself, they will be spending money, and that will create an activity that people can sell, people can be they can rent vehicles, some of them, and they can have houses where they can go and stay. So
Mm.
these are the kind of things that I'm looking at, and I see that we can do as a community and have a community festival.
Yeah, and I also want to stay with you for a minute because I know Casabros has a tourism group, so I want to talk a little bit about that as well. But we also have to pay attention to the folks on the ground who are getting it right, because let us go back to Asa Banton's Wet Fete. What Asa Banton did was very innovative, right? So not only did he have the wet fed for a few days, but what he ensured that he did, which I think the Dominica Festival authorities should have done as well, is that he provided island tours to the people who are already on the ground.
Right,
So he's
right,
saying, come on over, come to the wet fed, enjoy yourself. But wait a minute, let me show you my island because I want
right,
to intoxicate you. I want you to fall in love with Dominica. So when there is not wet fed, you can still come back and say, oh, I remember when I went to Trafalgar Falls, it was so beautiful. I want to go back, even if there's not a festival going on. Or you can go back and tell your friends, boy, Dominica is so beautiful. Even when there is no festival going on in Dominica, you should go to Dominica. So I think that was a missed opportunity for the Dominica Festival authorities because they should have done something as similar, organize island tours while people are in Dominica so that they too can fall in love with all the beauty that is in Dominica. So going back to the consistent flow of people coming to Dominica so that, as Marian said, we can have a consistent income stream for folks who are looking to do Airbnb short-term rentals. So Mr. Banis, your thought on that, and also the community tourism in Casabros. Carlos, I'm coming to you, I promise.
yes, this is the kind of thing that we have to look at to see how we can bring people into the community. Um, Again, growing as a young man, on a weekend, we would have basketball, we would have cricket, we would have people would come from different villages and come, and that also generated income because when they come, they buy, they we cook for them, they enjoy the life, they enjoy the cricket match, the basketball match. That in itself is because sometimes we look outside for developing for tourism to develop our tourism product. But we have people right in Dominica, right around the communities that would want to come and enjoy what we have in Casibus.
Mhm.
So, as a tourism group, we are putting some things together right now, and we are working on how, and to see how we can create some activities that people can come and enjoy. Casibus, our road now is done. It's really, really beautiful. I'm beginning to look at cycling, where you can have people coming down and just on their bikes and just ride down to Casablanca and go on the beach and enjoy a sea bath, enjoy a river bath. So these are some of the things that we can look at, so we can have ongoing activity between um, World Creole Festival and Carnival, and after Carnival also we have ongoing activities.
Mhm. Yeah, that is certainly what is needed. So, Carlos, let me come to you because I think what we're seeing is that we have yet another potential for an emerging industry in Dominica, and that industry is short-term rental and super hosting. So, tell us a little bit more about super hosting and what that involves. And again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about taking that momentum, that financial momentum we saw during Creole Festival, and how do we stretch it out throughout the entire year so we can continue to increase the income of Dominicans at home and abroad. So, Carlos, let's talk about super hosting. Muted.
Yes. My bad. Apologies. Super hosting by its name, it's allowing your listing to become a top performing host. When you have lots of persons booking your property.
Yeah, and you're
As
hosting them.
yes,
Yeah, so
now
unlike the
there are
short-term rentals,
requirements.
where the
There,
short-term rentals, your property is empty and you're
yes,
simply renting it out to folks. With super hosting, you are, so let's say you have a basement level. You live
yes,
on the top floor, you have a basement, you allow visitors to come in and stay for a short term in your basement and you host them. So like a bed and breakfast.
yes. But in terms of the Airbnb definition, it's when persons stay in a particular property for a long period of time, and then when you do that, they first of all they evaluate your listing, they evaluate the persons who have been booking, the feedback that you have been receiving, and then you get a special badge on your listing, and it thereby allows you to, it drives more persons towards your property. Like it's merely just an advertising feature. However, in terms of what Ms. John Finn said, um, I would like to add that the the persons who spend a lot of money getting their properties ready for the season, did they really experience a financial uptick? Because you spend so much money getting your place ready for a short period of time, then it's empty for an extended period of time because there's no real activity going on. It doesn't balance off for the average person. I believe if we're looking at driving economic activities, it has to go beyond just what we're looking at for the seasonal activities.
Right.
We have to look at things such as going more into agriculture, looking more into industries, looking more into yes, having more social activities, but do it at an even higher level. Because just this and Lucia, they having a Callaloo festival, and a lot of the things we not doing, the missed opportunities that we're creating for them, they're going to capitalize on it. As a matter of fact, WCK Band and what Chubby Chubby is a king in St. Lucia. You understand? So we have to look at creating the more activities to have not just activities but income earners that will be sustainable to the average person. Because not everybody is going to want to open a restaurant or sell a little alcohol by the road. Or the persons want. I mean, yes, we see persons doing evolving businesses using ICT sector where they do deliveries and so on. You see that has blossomed in after COVID. It dwindled a bit and then it came back up during this busy season. All those persons want to get involved in various activities. I go back again to St. Lucia. When they have activities such as the boating festival, I know we have one here, but when they have theirs, the Martinique, the Guadeloupe, all those people from St. Kitts, those speedboats, they flock those areas, and it's a whole. You have to be there to experience it, and even going on to the independence. Me as a biker, I've been there for that, and yes, I've experienced this St. Lucia Airbnb hosting where you get a nice property, sometimes free, 4 bedroom with pool at a good price as compared to what we rent to them here for Creole Festival. I mean, we have to look at stepping up a lot of the things that we do.
Value,
Yes, go ahead, Marian.
value for money. And we in Dominica, we take for granted that, I'm sorry, you finished, Carlos?
Go ahead.
We in Dominica, I think we take for granted that people will always come. And I think and when I say we, I think we're starting from government, those in the decision making, down to the man on the street. We need to have that mindset. We need to change our attitude. We need to change our mindset. Because if you don't appreciate it, if you don't value it, somebody else will take it away from you. You understand? Because we have all of these nice things and we just pussyfooting around with it. If you can go to St. Lucia, you just confirm that you can get a very lovely property, modern, clean, neat, with air conditioned, with what is that? A pool for less to them, sometimes half of what we are asking in Dominica for one bedroom. And the furniture, some in some cases, are outdated furniture. And we take this thing for granted, and we need to sit down and look at the holistic approach as to our tourism product. We don't need to be um copying or copying what other places do. We have a uniqueness. Capitalize that on the uniqueness. Stop the victimization, the politics in about what is happening. Let us just do us and do it well, because we have much more to offer our people than any other place, and we just seems to be taking that on. Another area, for the Creole Festival, what we saw was a lot of our neighbors came home.
Yes.
A lot of our neighbors, Martinique, Guadeloupe, St. Lucia, even all the way down to Trinidad,
Trinidad.
they
Yep.
came. That says a lot. And when you have good neighbors, you treat them well, you accommodate them well. They say that a good neighbor is better than a distant relative. And why I say this, for example, there are niche areas that we have to take advantage or develop, and the services that we have to make people feel when they come here. It is easy. It is easy to get business done. It is easy to get the services. Is up there. And an area that was very disturbing to a lot of visitors, especially from Guadeloupe, Martinique, with their monies exchange. Could you imagine coming to Dominica with €1,000, or even a €10, and you went to the bank? You were not allowed to change it.
Why
Could
is
you
that?
imagine that? I
Why is
don't
that?
know what banking policies that are there. It was such a chaos at one of our banks that the manager had to make an exception for that period. You understand? So that the people who come with their money, they were flabbergasted. They couldn't believe they come with their monies to spend. And the bank is saying to them, we cannot change it because you don't have our account with us. And not only we don't have an account, but we don't do euros, because you have to give them a whole list of money where you get the money from. €1,000. So now these people now go back, and it gives a bad taste. Because you come with all your vibes and you come to spend some money in a country, and the bank is frustrating the living daylight out of you. Now, what I realize in our banking system, there are what you call compliances that are set for us as I'm going to say Caribbean people or Black people by the American banking system, that the bank, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, has nothing to do with. To open an account in Dominica, they have to ask you all your great grandmother what she was wearing back then. It's a whole atelier of it when Dominicans coming home, because during the Creole Festival, a lot of them came to Dominica to do not only party but take advantage of the time there to maybe open an account, revamp the account, you understand, do financial transaction. And it's very difficult to do business in Dominica in the banking system. An American can sit on his phone, on his phone, on his computer at home, and open an account. He walks into the bank with any amount of money and is allowed to deposit with very little question asked. Where we in Dominica, if you come with €1,000, you are told no, you can't do that. And that's a niche area. These people wants to spend the money, and you're giving them all of that deba to open to change a euro. So that's another area we have to look into.
Yeah,
Who
and
running?
And it speaks to me about the need for national policy, because Mr. Abanis, I want to come to you, because I think what we're seeing is that any industry, before it can even begin to thrive, there has to be a national policy. So let us talk about all the different sectors that would benefit if we were more serious about short-term rentals, about super hosting. So let's talk about how the transportation industry, maintenance, people who do property maintenance, landscapers, right? Even potential more businesses for chefs, because maybe somebody might want a Chef Neandra or Chef Daria to come to their home where they're staying and do some cooking for them. But it speaks to the importance of always seeing this as an industry, doing the research, looking at St. Lucia, looking at the other islands. So let us talk a little bit about that. But before we do, I really have to attest to what Marianne is saying in terms of there needs to be more done with the banking sector, because I had that experience. We own a property in Dominica. We pay a mortgage thanks to Patrick John and his housing program, right? We own a property in Dominica. And I went to the bank to do two things. One, to exchange some currency from US to EC. And secondly, to make a deposit for the next couple of months of mortgage payments. And do you know what the young lady asked me when she saw that I was depositing money? I wrote it down verbatim. How did you come into this money?
No, somebody said
She
that
did
you.
not ask me my profession. She
Mm,
did not ask me, anything else. The fact that you're asking me how I came into this money makes it seem like it was an illegal activity that I took
so
part in to earn this money.
I'm sorry. So what that question does, it goes into your soul and it angers you.
And I
It
had to
dare
restrain
you
myself and
because
remind myself who I am.
what the banking system here is it has agreed on behalf of the American government is to make all of us feel like a criminal when we
Yes.
do business with the bank. And there's no one who is standing up and say, if your people are not doing this, you are not going to ask us to do this. It's like we are just drinking the cup of poison Kool-Aid, and our people now is the new slavery right now. Is the new noose around you. So you work hard, and not all of us are criminals. Not all of us. And we need to have a bit of more respect from the banking system, from our banks. And this is not from the central the central bank, our central bank. But they make you feel like a criminal coming to do business in the institution. And this can affect our development. This can affect. So you are forcing people to lie. You're forcing people to circumvent, situation in order to facilitate your facility.
Yeah, it was highly offensive,
It's
to be asked, how did you come in to this money that you're about to deposit in the bank? And I have to be honest, I was tempted to ask her about some other politicians. Have you asked them how they came into their money? But I had to remind myself, I had to take a deep breath and just let it slide, because we're getting nowhere when we confront people who are clearly ignorant and are simply reading from a script. But Mr. Banis, let me come to you. National policy, people who would benefit by having an industry of short-term rentals, an industry where we are doing super hosting, an industry where we are attracting tourists to our shores more than just during the festive seasons. And then Carlos, I'm coming to you.
Yeah, policy is important, because policy gives you a guide, and also it open up for people to understand that there are opportunities that we can tap into. And we have a few problems in Dominica. One, customer service is a huge problem. Two, spending power is another problem. Three, the population, we really do not have a population to do that, the kind of things that we would like to do. Okay, and then we are reduced now to two banks on island. When you go to a bank, to National Bank, I mean, sometimes you go there 8 o'clock, you come out there almost 1 o'clock. According, and if you go there later, I mean, you stay outside there for a long period of time. So the environment doesn't really give you the opportunity to do business and to do it well. So you have to always try to grapple and try to see how you are really thinking of how you can beat the system to see how you can move ahead of time. So policy is very, very important. But who is going to write the policies and who's going to approve the policies that will make the average person or the person on the ground to improve their life? And
Mm.
that's what makes you improve your life. Like you, the other countries, like you talk about St. Lucia, they have policies, they create the environment and they create the opportunity. But in Dominica, anytime you try to create an opportunity, you have so many people getting hostile to you and so many people trying to see how they can block you here, block you over there, block you there. So it is not an easy road, but I believe if we come to a place where we have people who have the same mind and we can sit down, have roundtable discussion and see how we can encourage and to also come up with come up with strategies that can help us improve our life.
Yes, and I see Chris Bugunu is trying to chime in. So, Chris, we're going to open the phone lines in a little while. But Carlos, for someone who is in the political sphere, right? What would be your approach? Because I think what we are seeing is that there is not a leaning towards exploring new industries. So, how would you recognize that something like what we are talking about has the potential to be a new industry and it should be explored further? Because I think, we might just be stuck on the industries we already know. And I don't get a sense that there is a zeal to want to look around the world and say, hey, here's a potential for an industry. Over here is the potential for another industry. Let us explore it. Let us create that national policy. Let us do the research. Let us look at best practices. Let us speak to people on the other islands who are already pursuing these industries. So how would be your approach? What would be your approach to ensuring that we are not missing opportunities by not exploring new industries?
Okay. So before I answer this question, let me attempt to bring another point which would
Yes.
support what you're saying there. As we're talking about the banks. Now, not bashing the banks, but I would like to see our local business people take more advantage of the opportunities that are available for us to use. Take, for example, we expect a lot of visitors from all over the world. They come into our Creole Festival, they come into our, well, particular, more specifically for the Creole Festival, that is when you have the higher traffic. You cannot go to a place, a business establishment, as someone who is traveling because we call it the culture overseas. Simon, you can attest to that.
Mm-hmm.
That we move into a cashless society.
Yes.
So the banks have these facilities available for use. I know National Bank has it. I know Republic Bank has it. I'm not sure for the credit unions, but I should not be coming to Dominica with my credit card and not being able to use it. That is one. Two, the banks as of late have been having some issues with the ATMs, as I think especially with the new money that we just introduced. They are having some problems, but that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, especially with those busy seasons coming up on us. Now let's talk from a political side of things. Uh, Forward-thinking government would
Mm.
first think of We have a busy activity coming in. We have we have persons with Airbnbs who want to get their place ready. Why don't I give some amnesty, some rebate, some tax break, some, to the people, especially on building materials, so they can better able to get those places up to the standard of the comparable countries like St. Lucia, which we always talk about, so that when people come here, they feel comfortable. I know there are places that are good and they are tried in Dominica, but others it is a stress because of course, the amount of money that is available for persons to spend is not enough, and you're trying a thing to make ends meet until you can grab the other end of the rope to save yourself from drowning. But I also want us to look at developing more, as I mentioned earlier, sustainable industries. So yes, we're happy to have the Creole Festival, but we also have to have money coming into the country on a more frequent basis. Just this week, I went to the bank on the bayfront. There's a boat there with tourists coming to visit Dominica. We welcome them there. But I was surprised at how empty the place looked.
Hmm.
There were, if there were 5 people walking on the road at that time, there were a lot. You understand? So I'm wondering what is going on. Where is the tourism that we're boasting about? What are we doing? We know we've been in so many hotels. Where is this stay over tourism? I raised in a family where we did a lot of that work, and I'm not seeing that activity on an uptick. Yeah, we just set Dominica as a sperm whale destination. We just did that. What are we doing? Not just building an international airport. What are we doing to get those flights from those areas? Because it's not just having an airport. You have to have
Mhm.
to the country. So you have to have activities for the people to come to. So are we supporting the persons who are doing the whale watching and the dive tours so that they can so that another person can have it and not just Fortune Hotel and Dive Dominica, but more people to offer those services. And I can go on, but
Mhm.
I don't want to get too.
No, absolutely. You can say as much as you want to, but back to what the question we raised as well. How do we realize? How do we recognize? What is a clue that something is becoming an industry that we should pursue?
If you're seeing persons interested in a product, you're seeing, for example, we know that persons are interested in our Creole Festival. You know that Flo had Creole in the pack for many years, and for whatever reason they decided not to do it, and we replaced with TV Lash Creole. You know that the Nature Island Riders travel to St. Lucia, and the leaders of the group have been talking about how much fun the guys have and how much Dominica represented so well and win awards over there and trying to do activities. So we need to look at capitalizing on those kind of activities by investing more, especially in the areas that support it. Why don't we have a track for the guys with the ATVs, with the four-wheel drives, with the fast cars, with the bikes? Why don't we have somewhere that they can recreate? You
Mhm.
know how our guys are welcomed in other countries when we see how much skill that we have and winning awards and getting paid. There's this guy in Layu, Mr. Laura, better known as Levy PC. He every time he goes to St. Lucia, he's like a hero over there. He's like
Celebrity.
a big star. You understand? And he does a lot of this stuff that he takes and goes over. Then he flies the Dominica flag high, just like Esa Bantan, with things that he picks up all over the place and he puts it together. and he goes on and he puts his craft together and it looks good. Probably, Simon, is something you can look at yourself. So,
Yeah.
when we look at these industries that I mentioned, they are multi-million dollar, well, maybe billion-dollar industries in the world. You know how much sponsors pay to see their logo on a car in the F1 racing, on the MotoGP racing? If
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that we can immediately get to that level, but we can take steps to get there, and it's happening in other countries. So
Mm-hmm.
those are kind of things that we look at. And I mentioned the yachting sector, the boats. So more emphasis needs to be placed on those activities and it to do them at even a larger scale. Tukari Beach area is a nice beach. It's a nice beach, a nice cove. Can you imagine what they would look like with 50 boats in the area, 100, and persons enjoying themselves on the strip, visiting the various bars and restaurants that are coming up?
Yeah, and it's not rocket science because when something happens in Dominica and anybody wants to make a criticism, we're quick to say, but it's not Dominica alone, nah. So in the same way we like to use that expression, all we have to do is look around. Look at what the other islands are doing. Look at how they are engaging. And I know, Chris Bugunu, you are ready to make a contribution, but just give me one more minute and we will have Lambi give you the phone numbers. But I know, Marian, you may have to leave in a little while. So any thoughts you want to share at this point?
That's okay. I can stick around.
Okay,
For
excellent. You have anything you want to share before we take the phone
yeah,
call?
listening to all of what Banis is saying and Chris, the other gentleman,
Carlos.
Carlos, and it goes. My head is just going. You talk about the yacht in the community. It's another fabulous sector, niche market that we can have. I just walked the other day driving, and I'm seeing some tourists coming through or yachties coming through Newtown. And I like, if I were to come to a country and I have to walk through Newtown, I'd be scared. I would be scared. That's our tourism product. We have our yachting facility, how small it is, no matter how small it is, in that neighborhood. What can or are we planning or ideas to increase it, to not increase it, but to make it attractive for those that are coming on their yacht, that they could feel comfortably walking the streets, I don't know. I don't know. There is so much that can be done, and it does not take rocket science. It's just for all of us, from government to the man on the street, to put our head together, see what kind of product we want to present out there to people, what service industry that we are attaching to these products, what amenities that is there, and we want people to enjoy, to say, okay, come to Dominica, you can go to the boiling lake, you can go to these springs, you can go to diving, to the whale watching, which is an excellent whale watching that was just declared just recently, is an excellent byproduct of our tourism industry. Now, when people are coming, homeowners, property owners will have a constant flow of visitors coming to the nature isle to enjoy everything natural or nature that is Dominica.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I recall one time, about 2 years, I was dancing. I love dancing, and I love the goka from Guadeloupe, and you could feel Jeunet Creole, feel the energy of the Guadeloupean and the Martiniquais that came, and you could tell that they came and they wanted to hear the sound of drumming throughout of Roseau. They wanted that. You could feel it. That there was, and then it was sadly. There's hardly any drum, maybe one here, one by Richard. We were at Richard. And there was nothing much to say, says Jeunet Creole, Eve, and Villani, Tambu Kani, Lime, so Tambu, and Tupatu Dominique. You understand? That's what they wanted to hear. So they themselves could participate in the dancing on practice. When you say when you not practice, that's the word. When you didn't practice, impromptu. It makes them feel nice. It makes them want to, because they have good vibes about their neighbor, about their sister Dominica. And when they come, they want to feel that we are home too, because these people, they are still under the colonial vibes much more than we do. And they are not allowed to own properties as we are owning property. Many of them are in an apartment in the Sig, in the Semsema, different apartment building all over the place. And so when they come to Dominica, one Frenchman tell me, one of the things about us, we have our own properties. No, we have our own land. And that already is a big, in over there, they have to pay all kind of tax foncière, tax habitation, tax allocation, all this kind of tax. They are losing their properties through these taxes. And so we are here and we have our property, and I pray that we never put any tax on any of our property. Allow us to enjoy this paradise, but let it work for all of us. And make it be, even if it could be rustic, but elegantly rustic.
Right. Yes. So we must take a minute to go over to take the calls. But when we come back, we have to talk about the implications for our youth in everything that we are talking about. And Mr. Banis, I know that you're very passionate about that. You're working on a project on that right now. So when we come back, let's get some thoughts on our youth. What is the benefit to our young people with everything that we are talking about? Because as we can see, we may be, having a generation of lost people. Who are not gainfully employed, who are sitting on the block. I was in Dominica, and I swear everywhere I walked, I smelled marijuana, and it was just nauseating. So we have to talk about how do we gainfully engage our young people. But just as a reminder, and Chris, listen for the numbers, it's coming in a minute. We are talking about now that the 2023 Creole season is over in Dominica. How can we continue the momentum of the financial uptick we saw in Dominica's economy? So we continue to explore new and emerging income earning opportunities, new industries, new potential industries for Dominica. So if you missed the beginning of the program, we are joined by Mr. Adrian Banis, Miss Marian John Finn, and Mr. Carlos Charles. So Lambi, let's come over to you for the numbers. Chris Buguno, I hope you're listening so you can get the number to call in.
You are listening and viewing Roots Connection and Q. The numbers for calling in are as follow: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. Those are all local numbers, and the international number 305-432-9624. Let me run those numbers again. Local numbers 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. The overseas number 305-432-9624. And we already have a call on the line. Caller, please go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, panel. Good evening.
Good evening.
Simon.
Good evening.
Carlos.
Good evening.
Yeah, bless up. You know that they're ready.
Yes.
Yeah, man, bless up. Yeah, listen to the conversation. I was trying to get in at different points of the conversation tonight, but I wasn't able to really get in to the call. But I just wanted to touch on, you all were expounding on growing the products and really the experience in Dominica and how we can have an economical impact. Basically, that's the platform of the topic this evening, right?
Yes.
Especially through our entertainment and recently past Creole Festival, etc. And you all touch a very important aspect that has a lot of potential. And that is to do with the super hosting, the Airbnb and the super hosting. It's a fraction of real estate, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And real estate, as you know, you might know that very well out there, Simon, in the States. One of the best avenues to wealth in the international world is real estate.
Absolutely.
And right now, we have to see how we can develop a real estate ethic with the same super hosting concept, which is a very critical component in our development. But people don't see it as that because they're not educated as to how to proceed, and the system itself has to create a lot of facilitation for the young entrepreneurs to invest into that type of scheme in terms of banks, loans for development, for investment, for super hosting. Now, I say it is very important because I have heard the government on numerous occasions, Mr. Skerritt, say, we need more people in Dominica. So it gives me a sense that he's looking at people per head as an additional tax statistic. But I while that is true, but we being a different type of people with the amount of resources we have, doesn't necessarily mean we need more people to get a tax, our tax threshold up. What we need is more avenues for people to expand their economical reach and their full potential in investment in Dominica. So we can technically make one household feel, one head in a household can feel like three people. You understand what I'm saying? That's why Americans, most well-to-do Americans will tell you, you need to have 3 income streams. Now, 3 income streams technically is subsidizing, besides yourself, 2 other points of labor. Am I right?
Yes.
So, right. So what I think, why I say it becomes very critical is because it can help the average person to develop and to create more generational wealth with that Airbnb concept, where it becomes passive income when you invest in a basement, when you buy a vehicle to complement moving your clients, because that's what super hosting is. Super hosting technically is an inclusive domestic stay. You understand? So I can provide you with car, I can provide you with food, I can provide you with stores privately within my space. Now, you see how many different points that comes from one household. You have taxi, comes from a household. You have board and lodge, meaning to live in the house. That's another point in the income. And then you have the food part. So technically the household becomes a subsidy of all what is outside there. And I would advocate, I would urge the government to, alongside with the banking system, to try to put a lot of legislations in place and a lot of open up the banking system so that a young entrepreneur that isn't able to build on that one job salary now, if they go into an investment mortgage / dwelling mortgage, because technically it will take care of itself for your investment that is beneath you, it can help the economy a lot. Now, in addition to that, Simon, what it does is you now becomes an additional tax statistics on a business level as well. You're registered to the state, right? You're registered to the state. So if there's any incentive from state, you become a statistics for that. If there's any incentive where the state itself wants to borrow internationally, you become an additional statistics to the power of the economy for they themselves to be able to have a larger and wider financial reach. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we sleeping in Dominica on a lot of what I call giants, economical points, giant points where people can become very independent and we can multiply our purpose in our space literally by 4. Each person literally can create 4 times the impact that they have now by themselves. So that conversation is important, and these are the amenities that can expand just what we were faced with during independence in terms of that type of influx of people and that economical momentum that we only get twice a year. You understand? Alongside that, you will have more people coming. There's more confidence to invest in events. There's more confidence to invest in the eco-tourism of Dominica. And also from the higher development, the developers, a lot of them go in for too much high category of hotels. There is not enough middle class or low class board and lodge from those type of investors. Too many five-star hotels doesn't cut it. It restrains your visitor capacity who does not have a tie to somebody in Dominica. You get what I'm saying? I'm supposed to be able to visit Dominica as a middle class person in the diaspora without knowing anybody there. Why? Because my pocket can only pay for 75 US a night, 60 US a night. That's an in. I am young. My salary, my income is not up there as somebody in the 40 or 50s who has matured in the economy. I will be out on the street enjoying life. I have more energy to explore. But all I need is a place to rest. So
Right.
it's a lot of little sectors that we're lacking on that, and the effect of lack of implementation and of those development, the effect is just what we see now, where people basically in Dominica say the country has. The country has a bypass mechanism. We need to think. I am of the opinion that they know. If those people that are supposed to know, but I don't think that they are in control to make that decision to make Dominicans independent. I can go down to my grave with that.
Yeah, and Ted, you are very correct, because what we're finding since COVID-19 is that people are looking for experiences. So a lot of people are no longer just interested in booking a hotel and sitting on a beach all day. They want to experience the island. They want to experience the culture. So when you have like super hosting, you find that people are hosting you. They're exposing you to their culture, their heritage, their music. So it becomes more of an experience than going just to a hotel.
Right, because what that does remember our type of tourism. All that is a support system based on our type of tourism. We're looking at an organic, natural, eco-tourism product. What you don't want to do is develop or overdevelop too much of that space to take away out of the nature experience on that 300 and something square miles. Every square foot is very critical in keeping the brand. You understand? So we have to know how to display our concepts for tourism and still keep the platform which we have the monopoly on in the Caribbean, which is ecotourism. There's no other island that can give you what we can give you in the Caribbean. There's none. Our amenities are in infinity. Our sites are just gorgeous to the bone of nature. But how do we not over conceptualize and develop to erase that natural beauty, and at the same time, and we do something that includes the common man to boost the economy? And I'm not an economist, but I think what I said is a reasonable formula to be thought of by the bigger thinkers. I'm just
Yes.
it's already.
Yeah, so thanks, Tad. We have a few more callers calling in, but thank you so much for your contribution as always. Marian, you wanted to jump in and say something real quick? Thanks, Tad.
To say, people are not, they are looking for affordability, but still at 5-star service. You
Right.
still want a 5-star experience, but the price they are still looking at as something that is economic. So, not for they want any nipot bagay.
Right. So it's almost like we have to train our super host in terms of how do you provide that 5-star level experience if you choose to become a part of this industry. And like with every other industry, it entails training people to optimize performance in that particular industry. But let us take some messages from Facebook as well. Judith Cochran, pleasant good evening to the panelists. Great program as usual. George says politics have Dominica in that commerce with the prime minister and his corrupt government. Anthony Simon, the ATM machines is also an issue. Certain locations on island. Then we have Chris Bugunu, who's asking for the phone numbers to call in. Let's see what else we have. He says, Carlos, I think government should use the expertise of those who are qualified to answer questions. Absolutely. There's no way I would need leaders, Carlos Skerritt Lennox, to speak on military or security matters in conference. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Chris. Jared, ladies and gentlemen, the government, its supporters in the private sector, and its foreign enablers have a set agenda and narrative which conflicts and competes with the drive and business aspirations of the small and local entrepreneurs in Dominica and those whom want to come over to invest. So a very important point, Gerard. Chris says he's trying to call. Lamy, could you run the numbers one more time? He says he's trying to call. Thank you.
The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. These are all local numbers. The international number, 305-432-9624. Back to you, Simon.
Yes, so I think, Chris, you're calling from overseas. So the number is 305-432-9624. So you can try that number if you're interested in making a contribution to the discussion. But in the meantime, let us start talking about how do we engage our youth? Where are the opportunities in what we are talking about for our young people? And Mr. Bennis, I want to come to you because I know that's an area that you're passionate about and you are doing something surrounding youth development. So talk to us about that.
Yes. I'm really passionate about our youth, especially.
One second. I think
men.
we might be getting that call from Chris. Just give us 1 second, okay?
Thanks, caller, for your patience. Please go ahead.
Hello, my favorite human beings. Thank you for accepting my call because my concern for my country, after leaving my country and having a good life, is very deep. I want to give kudos to Sir Carlos Charles for his difference, in trying to bring up people together and everything, and the team TUD. So what I would like to say, am I live? Am I
Yes.
live? All right, Miss Simone, Dr. Simone. Dr. Simone, I find, if you find that I'm right, that everybody would have an expertise since they have lived life of how to correct something or how to make something better. Dr. Simone, I listened to a press conference today, and if anybody has to have a press conference, no, you give people power. If you give me power to answer about my home, about my neighbors, based on the grass, how it's cut, whatever, I'm going to answer you. They doesn't cut the grass, right? But we need, okay, for example, whether it's Leader Carlos, whether it's Sir Lennox Linton, whether it's the Prime Minister Rosa Skerritt, whether it's anybody, I think in press conferences, journalists and everybody should really bring the people who are really responsible for that particular organization or that part of society, the social aspect, whatever. So, for example, the financial secretary was present in the Prime Minister's conference today. Why wasn't her there to answer questions? So I think, for me, nobody can tell me about military, chemical, biological, radiological, or any one of these criteria, nuclear weapons or anything. Nobody can come teach me about that. So I think you could make it clear in the minds of people, right? And we could fix all this. No, everybody can't be an expert. Or we all have trained and do everything. So, and if I can advise my leader, Carlos, my leader, the Team Unity, that whenever you have in a press conference, you whether it's Dominic, you bring the people who are directly responsible because a leader, you give the leader more power, right? To do so when you cannot find the nitty gritty of what's going on. Because the leader only there to capture everything that is said to him, by those under him. But if you have expertise in a press conference to answer every question, you might have five of them. Your limitation of questions might be less, and you might have a follow up question. That's fine. But I think, like, if I have to give Leader Carlos some examples, right? If he had to have a press conference of everything that's going on, I don't blame the Prime Minister. I don't blame Dominica. I think Dominica is in good hands. I think we have a future. What I'm thinking is that we should demand the experts in particular fields, to come and answer questions.
Yes.
You
Okay. So,
understand?
Chris,
And then
so,
we hold
so,
them
so Chris,
responsible.
we got that point. Were you trying to make a comment on anything we were talking about this evening? We got the point that experts should be at the press conference to answer the questions. Did you want to make a contribution
Absolutely.
on this discussion that we're having this evening?
Yes, ma'am. And absolutely, doctor. Doctor, I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking that if we demand this, right, from every, because the prime minister is just holding his own, the president is only holding his own, but we have to have accountability and responsibility to those who hold the office and position of these different departments and everything in that criteria to answer questions.
Yes. So thank you. So thank you for that point, Chris. We need to move on with the discussion, but thank you so much for calling
Okay,
in
I'm
and for
listening.
raising that point. Okay, excellent. Carlos, did you want to make a quick comment? We need to move on with the discussion, but since it was directed at you, just a quick comment on that.
Well, it's not everything that is said by, but in terms of what Chris was saying, I understand where he was coming from, but in terms of the Domlek issue, I surely rest it at the feet of our sitting government. So yes, the people in Domlek should answer questions based on their technical know-how, but I'm pretty sure that they would have been aware of the status of the generators before the load shedding started happening.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I just leave it as that.
Yes, let's just leave it at that. Mr. Bannis, so we have to talk about engaging our youth in everything that we're discussing this evening. What role do they play and the work that you're doing in that area?
Yes, I just want to piggyback on when I was growing up. I had a lot of young people, young men working with. And I remember we had a basketball team, we had a cricket team. But every weekend we would go on the farm and help each other. And we would have kudme because guys wanted to have some economic power. So we would go on a weekend by one person and would work, plant, and then by the next couple months they would be selling their bananas. And that kind of tradition has really left. What I'm seeing right now as a minister of the gospel, and I have been following the whole trend of what is happening in the churches, and also how our young men are now on the street and they are not really engaged in anything. I came up with a plan, and that plan is really a passion to see if I can get some of the young men to come and learn a skill. And so I have a building 43 by 70. I'm just now organizing and ensuring that I get it completed. We have done all the work because after Maria, I had a small building. The Maria destroyed it. I did not get any support, so I had to really rethink and plan and decided, well, I'm going to build a concrete structure with concrete roof. And it took me almost 5 years to go to get the roof on. And that goal that I have is to see how I can bring our young people, not just our young men, but our young ladies, that they can learn give them an opportunity to learn a skill. I'm just finding out right now in the region, if you're going to work in the region anywhere, you must be certified. And if you are not, and that is going to become law from January. So I am seeing this is a perfect opportunity to, where we have labor shortage, and not just labor shortage. I was talking to a contractor, the electrical contractor, and I was saying to him, I have a few guys that I would like him to give them some employment. And he said to me, what are their skills? He's not going to employ laborers anymore. He wants skilled people. So that tells you the man that is on the street who probably don't have a skill is out of is out. So my goal right now is to see how I can get our young people and get them to be trained in a particular skill, whether it's agriculture, plumbing, or electricals, or anything that they would like to learn, and to go to the extra man to get them certified so that, and then we can become an agency where anybody that need people to work and to be employed, they can just contact us and we can just deploy that person now to go there and to start working. So that is the project that I'm working on right now. And I believe that this project that will help a lot of our young men to develop a skill that they can go out there and develop themselves and be able to get job creation. They can become self-employed. They can work for other people. They can create industries, because if you have a skill and you are good at the skill, as you go on and you begin to develop, you can just create your own company, and who knows, you become one of the most powerful entrepreneurs. But the seed that we sow into the life of that person, that seed can grow. Once you allow it to grow, it can grow in you, and you can become effective in this life. So I'm really, really, really passionate about that, and I really want to see that we start off that kind of project next year, where we start training our people. So we'll train our ladies in things like sewing, in cooking, in whatever field they would like to be trained in. We will create that opportunity for them to train. So we
But
call
you
it,
were
I don't want
also
to call
talking
it
about the opportunity for us to support what you're doing. I think you were talking about in terms of fundraising for what you're
yes,
doing.
yes. I would really would like persons to come on board and to see how you can give support. And I was thinking, if you can't give monetary support, you can give utensils, you can give, maybe you have a stove and you're not using it, you can contribute that stove, because we are going to help. If you have different things for baking and cooking, if you have some extra saws like power saw, whatever you have, and if you don't want to give in kind, you can give cash, and we'll make sure that we put your cash into good use, and that it will also help us to build to do the rest of the work that we have to do on the building to get it to the standard that we can do the training.
Right. And give us your contact information so we don't forget to get it at the end.
Yes, my contact information is 245 1460.
Say it again.
245 1460.
Okay, so again, 767-245-1460. If you see the benefit in everything that Mr. Banis is doing. And of course, if you miss any portion of the program, you can always go back on Facebook on Q95 FM Radio, Push Past 10, YouTube, Q95 FM Radio. And what I started doing as well is also uploading the video with all the contact information to pushpast10.com, 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 so that if you missed a portion of the program, you can go back and view the entire program and anything you may have missed along the way. But Marian, let's come to you. The role of the youth. How can we engage our youth and really truly engage them in a positive way in everything that we are talking about? And then Carlos, I'm coming to you, same question.
how can I, all of us have to ask ourselves, how can I engage the youth? First, by being a role model. First, by setting the standard for young people. First, by showing them that it is possible. First, by loving our youth, by valuing our youth, by speaking kindly to our youth. You understand? Most times we tend to always try to sideline our youth and push them aside. And that makes them become violent or defensive. You understand? So we as the adult, those are in advance or before, have to create the path for them to follow. And right now, what's really happening to our youth is very sad. That our home atmosphere for our children is very, very destructive, to a point, to some point is demonic. And so our children from small, they are being destroyed. This afternoon, I hear a mother have a baby and she's cussing out a man using the F word. Now, you may not see the value or see the word, oh, the child don't know nothing. What is the seed we plant in our children? When I lived in St. Martin, I had my son and he couldn't find a work. And he was trying to go into the computer, going to work for an Indian. And I said to him, no, I don't want you to work for Indian because I know these people, how their mindset, how they treat us, how they value us, right? And then I saw an ad in the newspaper for the yachting industry was giving free lesson to young men about how to be part of the yachting industry. We are saying that we want to build the yachting industry. Do you know how much um, value or how much money that a young man makes in the yachting industry, whether it's through the servicing, the cleaning the boat, taking care of the boat, dinghying, whatever it is. And my son, was very discouraged at the time. My goodness, this thing transformed my son's life, because now he was valued. He could drive a dinghy. He, at the point, within a year, my son was speaking to millionaires, taking their orders on their boat, going up on the boat, and even directing them how to come into a marina. So we doesn't talk about this. These are the other areas where we are surrounded by waters, and we are not seeing how we can get our people involved in business on the water also. Our young men can do excellent how to fix engine, how to service this boat. Because you know what? The tip sometimes that these millionaires leave for you is a good tip, you know.
Mhm.
And you travel. I know a young man from Casa Bruce. He's in Antigua, and he works on a yacht. You understand? And he did not learn that, but my goodness, as you go through life, you take opportunity that presents itself. So we need to look at all of that. We are sowing the right water. How can we make an economy in that water of out of that water, yachting industry, that our people, our young men and the women can be part of that? How do we can we develop that yachting industry? And many other things, including, you still do the electrical, you still need cooking, you still need laundry or housekeeping on the yacht, service provision in
Yep.
that.
Yep.
But I'm saying we need, as parents, as adults, we need to go back to the basic
Mhm.
and value our children and set the standard, set the example for our children. We have lost our way in being a role model, an example for our children to follow. So now our children on the street. So home is Iran and Iraq is a war zone, and so they go on the street where it's more calm. And but what they engage in many times,
Mhm.
something that God will be pleased with, nor will it benefit us. We need to
And
know.
you, and you are absolutely correct, Marian, by being a role model. So important, because as we are talking about this new emerging industry, when our children see us productively engaged in innovation and thinking of new ways to generate income, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to follow suit and even potentially surpass us in terms of their ability to earn an income, and in terms of realizing that money just doesn't only come from having a 9 to 5, and we certainly do not get anywhere by begging. Because sometimes that is the role model some of our children are seeing, that many of us are living off of handouts. And we have to ask ourselves the question, what lesson are we teaching them? Are we going to create another generation of folks who have their hands stretched out, looking for a handout rather than looking for a hand up? So we have to, when we are living our lives, we have to remember that our children are watching. And so if we're teaching them how to you earn income by begging, that's what they're going to learn. That's what they're going to practice. If we teach them that you earn an income only through a 9 to 5, and you settle for whatever your boss is willing to give you, because as we know in Dominica, many times when you go to an interview and they say, well, what salary are you looking for? A lot of people say, what can you give me now? Right? So, if we teach them that that is what they're going to follow, or if we teach them what we're talking about, what Tad mentioned, multiple sources of income, then that is what they will pursue, and their lives will be even better than our lives, more financially secure than our lives, because that is what we taught them. Let me come back to you, Marian, and then Carlos, we're coming to you. Go ahead, Marian.
Now, what I was saying, most time we're talking about income and monies and how to make money, but we have lost our way in the fundamental, going back to history. Now, we have an account to give to God for our children, because we are journeying on this earth, and we have a time to give an account to God for his children that he's given to us, all of us. And what will he say to you? Well done. Or will he say, get thee behind me? I do not know. Get away from me. I don't know you. You understand? So, no, what does that has to do with our development? Because when you value your child, you know who your child is. You show him by the example of what we should be doing and how we should be living. As we go along the way, our children will know this is right, this is wrong, because mama says so, daddy showed me, mommy showed me. And if the child chooses to go their way, it's on their own account. And so it affects our ability to develop our real estate, our ability to put things in place that will be beneficial, not just to us alone, but our community. Just one last example. We have a washroom in Castle Bruce, and Adrian can attest to that. It was open to allow the people who don't have a facility for visitors to use the facility. Do you know that the young lady who was there, her life was threatened because one young man refused to pay $1. Literally, physically threatened that young lady. Now, that shows you the understanding or the mindset of these people. How does he understand the value of that bathroom to the community, to our visitors? So when we don't put value or show to our children what value is, and by our own example, then when you put things in there, out there, and try to develop the community, they turn around, they match it up. So.
Yeah, teaching the values. So, Carlos, let me come to you. But before I do, roll out on Facebook makes a very important point. She says we could also benefit from asking the youth how they would like to be engaged versus pushing agendas on them that may be outdated. We can meet each other at the midpoint and forge a new path together. Very well said, Rollout. Thank you for that message. Dave Bertrand, I see you. Good evening for you. Unfortunately, Chris, this is not the discussion we're having this evening. So thank you for your comments on Facebook, but we are going to focus on the conversation we're having this evening. So Carlos, over to you. Youth engagement and your final thoughts as we see the clock quickly ticking away.
Yeah, thanks. We're talking about the youth. We're talking about how we can get the youth involvement in this sector.
New industry.
These new industries. First off, the ideas don't reside in one set of heads. and the young people are very innovative and very they have the young people are energetic. They have a lot of ideas. So first thing, like Rollout was saying, and I'm very happy that he said that we need to listen to the youth and to borrow a bit of what Marian said. While we're listening to them and allow them to harness their energies, well, we guide them along those paths with the multitude of ideas that they will come up with. Now, we talk about the yachting sectors, and I'm so glad that she mentioned her son getting involved in the dinghy and so on. These people, when they come down to Dominica, they expect a certain level of service. So we have to provide the supporting services to sustain those industries so that they will return. And I'm sure Thaddeus would agree with me on that. You have to provide the things that they will be able to continue living. I don't remember, a lot of those people who own those yachts are people who are at a certain income bracket. So when they come down to those places, one, do we have water for them to refill on those yachts when they're traveling? We know Dominica is 365 rivers. We're the water country. What provisions do we have for them to get fuel? What sort of engines those boats use? Do we have the grade of fuel that those boats will be able to use? So now we provide that for our young people. They do the businesses, and also to add to that, food. When they want food for them to continue being on the water, what are we offering to them? Do we have a bag of sugar in a loosely tied bag? Because remember, they go and they anchor out in a place like, say, for example, Newtown. What are they seeing when they come on shore and they walk into those little supermarkets and little shops? What are they seeing? And when we look at other activities such as the Creole Festival and those things, what other supporting services can you add to it? I remember we used to have that A1 taxi business that used to be there during when Ross was there. Not everybody comes down and able to get a rental, because rentals are fully booked during those seasons. Who is pushing actively for providing transportation services for persons who come down to be safely carried to and from? Because remember, you doing Airbnb is not a Fort Young or Garaway that's directly in Roseland. It could be somewhere Castle Comfort
Castle Bruce.
that is in a rural area, Castle Bruce, and those people need to get. And we want to push back our the houses that were being used in Picard. You want people to start back using. I mean, the DDA at one time did some organization of transportation, but it needs to be more personalized. People need to have it. I come along at a certain income bracket. I want to be able to feel comfortable getting that kind of service.
Even limo service, Carlos. Do we have a limo service company in Dominica?
Yes, we have a limo service,
okay.
But a lot of those services are limited. I mean, you see them during weddings. I mean, but they are available.
Yeah, if somebody's looking for a high-end experience.
Right. So
party bus.
Yes, I mean, Sheppy does a decent job at that, but a lot of things can be done even better. The opportunities are there for persons to do more business. And I'm sure the young people have a lot of ideas. We need to listen to them. I can go even a lot more, but I don't want to take too much of it. I see the time is quickly coming to an end. But Simon and Miriam and Mr. Barnes, thank you for being here with you guys. Here with Team Unity, every Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, we have a program on our Facebook page and our other social media channels. We can be reached through there as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for being there. Let me make sure I didn't miss any final thoughts from Mr. Banis. Marian, any final thoughts you want to share?
um, let us stop waiting on government to do everything for us.
Yes.
Come on, let's be creative and do for ourselves what we can and what we want. Let us show government how it is done. Because maybe they
Abs- Go ahead.
My thoughts that let us see how we can use our resources to build lives and to ensure that we engage not just our young people, but we engage our community people and try to see how we can encourage them to go into investment, get train themselves. Because in this world right now, if you are not at a particular level, it is going to be very difficult. But all in all, you can come out from the bottom and you can climb because you are just innovative, you have a passion to grow, and that's what we need, people with passion. So I want to just encourage people. The 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 vision that I have, the dream that I have, if you can contribute to make it become a reality, that would be so good because you will be touching a life and you'll be helping someone to improve his life or improve our life in by engaging them and helping them to develop a skill for life. And
Mhm.
that's is our whole objective is to
Yeah.
help people to develop a skill for life. Because what I have discovered, we come to church, we pray, we worship, we do everything, but we, people go back home and they have needs, and some people they never achieve anything. But we have to create that environment for them, and as we engage them and we share with them, we talk to them, so that we that know better, that we need to see how we can help them to develop their life and to become more successful in life. All right.
Mhm. Yes,
Thank you
thank
very much,
you.
Carlos, to just hear you sharing what you were sharing tonight. I believe this is something that we can see how we can pursue. It's a very good, innovative um, dream that you have. Marian also sharing. We always talk, we always share, and she is one of my sisters. So we continue to see how we can make a meaningful contribution to our community and to Dominica, and that in the end people can say yes, we are not only talkers, but we are also walking the talk.
Yes, and that is the premise of Roots Connections,
Thank you,
walking the
Simon.
talk.
Yes, thank you very much, Simon, for inviting me. I really appreciate
Yes,
it. Always good to sit and to share with you.
yes, and thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Mr. Banis, Marian, Lambi. Thank you, everyone, for your contribution to yet another engaging program. As we talked about, now that the 2023 Creole season is over in Dominica, how can we continue the momentum of the financial uptick in Dominica's economy? So, just exploring new and emerging income earning opportunities for Dominicans at home and abroad. So, we have to continue supporting each other. And as I mentioned in the beginning, if you want to support a worthy cause and you're in the Florida area, let me take a listen of how you can do just that. Okay, I'm going to get this thing to play if it's the last thing I do this evening.
Dominica Association of Tampa Bay presents a cultural Christmas. Join us for this exciting event on December 2nd, 2023, from 6 p.m. until at 1801 North Lincoln Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33607. Dress code is all white with a touch of madras. Enjoy singing Serenade and reminisce with Dominican folklore. We will be featured for the first time our Shopify competition. You may register to participate via our website, www.datb.com, our Facebook page, or the link in our WhatsApp group. First prize, $200. Second prize, $150. Third prize, $100. Music will be provided by the Impulse Band and DJ Spice. A delicious spread of Dominican Christmas cuisine awaits you. Tickets only $50, and all tickets must be purchased in advance. Proceeds will go towards our scholarship program and other humanitarian needs in Dominica. For more information, call 813-297-1182. See you there.
Yes, so again, if you're in the Florida area, a very worthy cause to fund scholarships for Dominicans. And if you're doing a program, if you're doing an event and you would like us to help you to share the importance of supporting your event, you can always reach me at pushpast10@gmail.com, pushpast10@gmail.com. So thank you. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to Mr. G, the Q95 family, our Facebook and our YouTube audience, for always keeping it locked to Q95. Happy Thanksgiving. And let me just take an opportunity to thank everyone who makes this program possible, the callers, whether I recognize your voice or not, the Facebook contributors, and especially those in the background who are constantly WhatsApping and assisting with program ideas and concrete ways that we can move Dominica forward. So again, thank you for joining us for our #1 program for showcasing the people, projects, and initiatives which are geared towards moving Dominica forward, especially with regards to financial opportunities, because so many of us are doing things in the background that we do not let people know about. And it's important that we all know about these things so that we can collaborate. We can bring the pieces together. We can bring the human resources together. Here we have Carlos, Mr. Banis, and Marian. Who knows what they can come together and accomplish? So we like to expose these opportunities so that if you too want to make a significant contribution to Dominica, you can be a part of the movement right here on Roots Connection. So again, don't forget to keep it locked to Q95da.com for the best in programming. And again, thank you everyone for being here this evening. So until next time, have a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we will see you, I think December 16th, around there, for another episode of Roots Connection. So Marianne, Mr. Banis, Carlos, Lambi, Showin, have a great evening until we meet again next time. Take care. You can unmute your mics and say bye.
Have a good evening, everybody.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Pleasure
Thank
having
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Joe! Rastafari. Home, oh, oh, children, home. Wanna go home, oh, yes, children, home. Got to go, yeah. We've been trodden from Genesis right on through Revelation. We've been a subject